we got Rand Paul, Republican Party, and Charles Booker, Democrat Party.
Yeah, you'd have to go with Rand Paul. He's more constitutional, than Booker. Booker's basically a socialist. So that's an easy call. Rand Paul, he's on the side of lower taxes, less government, limited government.
Now we've got 4th District. We've got Thomas Massey, Republican, Matthew Lehman, is it Lehman or Lehman? Lehman, Democrat, and then Ethan Keith, Osborne, Independent.
Yeah, you definitely want Thomas Massey. His record has been exceptional. I believe he's the best of the congressmen in Washington, D.C. by far. So that's an easy call. Thomas Massey's got a great record.
Okay, and also we've got, and this is not everywhere, but this is Hamilton, Beaver, Richwood, Verona, Walton, Kensington, Union, and Devon. So this is 20th Senate District, Jay Williams, Republican, and Teresa Barton.
Yeah, she's the former judge executive of Franklin County. She's pretty reprehensible. She's been in the news in the last few weeks. They caught her on video stealing Jay Williams signs. 3 different occasions.
Isn't that a felony?
It is. And Jay's got an investigation going on by the Kentucky State Police on her. But, she's claiming, well, I had permission from the property owner to take it down. And of course, our side has already interviewed the property owner, so the only one I gave permission to was Jay. But even if you have permission from the property owner, you better not touch an opponent's sign. You just nothing but trouble. But Jay was in the legislature from 1990 through 1998, was just exceptional on education, property rights. He's the one that got concealed carry through in 1996. The right to farm bill. He did a lot of good things. So that's an easy one. Jay Williams all the way.
Okay. All right, so we don't need to talk about 60th District.
I think we should talk about some of them because I'm interested to know where Bernie thinks maybe you shouldn't even place a vote. Just to send a message.
I guess the other thing I would say about Jay Williams is that district is huge, and it's a new district. It's southern Boone. It's a little sliver of Kenton County, but it's all of Gallatin, all of Carroll, all of Owen, and all of Franklin County.
And that's the one they gerrymandered and had an idea of who they already wanted to run. So we're kind of lucky Jay was even able to throw his name in the hat,
He wasn't going to run. I called him up and I said, "You got to take this is made for you, pal." But Damon Thayer and all them, they wanted Phyllis Sparks. They were the one that recruited her. So, I am so happy that Jay ran and beat her. And I really think that, this Teresa Barton will go down because she is so liberal. She's for abortion. She's for same-sex marriage, the whole bit. Right. So she's really, really...
I talked to Jay last night, and I said, "I think you got this." And he said, "Oh, we need to turn out the vote." And I said, "Oh, you got to beat the cheat?"
Well... I think what you said is important because you've got to be so far ahead that even if they do try to cheat, and they will, that you can still win. Now, if Jay can stay close in Franklin County, he's got it. He'll have it. Yeah. But that's a big district. It's important.
Want to talk about this one?
Marianne Proctor all the way! Yay! I tell you what, everybody's still talking about
the giant slayer.
About how we slew, 2 16-year incumbents and Ed Massey. All 3 of those people, were committee chairs, and it wasn't supposed to happen. And of course, Marianne Proctor only won by I think 130 votes, but she did win. Mm-hmm. And Sal, kept pushing that gas tax, and it come back to bite him. Yep, sure. So, and then when you beat Ed Massey 2-1, thanks to you girls going door to door, which is awesome.
Now we got 61st District. We got Savannah Maddox, Republican. And
Yeah.
Debbie Angel.
I think Savannah Maddox all the way. I bet you she gets 75% of the vote.
Yeah.
Maybe more. But she's that good, and she's the only state legislator that fought against Andy Beshear from day one. You go back 2-3 years, it was her. And, she had a couple allies like Felicia Rayborn and stuff, but Savannah Maddox is a rock star. And
I think it's a little confusing that she came out saying she was going to run for governor, and she's actually running for rep.
she's got to win this first. But
Right.
yeah, but she, you know, I think she was wanted to get started.
66th, this is a very important one. We got Steve Rawlings, Republican, and Tim Montgomery, Democrat.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Steve Rawlings. No,
You know what? We should have you say what percent he's going to win by on that one.
I think Steve Rawlings will probably win by about the same margin he beat Ed Massey, maybe more. I mean, it'll be at least 2-1. Steve Rawlings is going to rock and roll. There's no doubt. Montgomery is, he's history already.
Agreed. Okay, here's the one, 69th District. Steve Doan, Republican, Chris Brown, Democrat.
Yeah, Steve Doan all the way. His opponent, you know, hey Mark, his opponent, you know, is pretty much a socialist. And so Steve Doan is a rising star. I can picture him getting into leadership, you know, in a few years. But him beating Adam Koenig was so significant for the state, so significant.
So on the Gary Moore, do you think people should even fill that one out?
It's up to them. I mean, Gary's got it, you know. I did support Gary when he first ran back in 98, and but he's disappointed me on so many issues that I just won't vote for him anymore. I never would. So generally what I would do, I mean, of course, 4 years ago, you know, I voted, you know, he had a Republican opponent in a primary that I supported, but I wouldn't even vote on that particular race. You know, it might send a better message, you know. And I do think like Chet Hand won so handily because people were tying Charlie Kenner to Gary W. Moore. And I think
Aren't they related?
Yeah, cousins, yep.
That's not a conflict at all.
That's funny.
District 1, County Commissioner Kathy Flagg.
Yeah, she's another one that got elected originally back in 1998, and she came in, and it was all Republican fiscal court, you know, beginning January '99. She's been the most consistent on our side, fighting against a lot of taxes, you know, like the parks tax, some of the other things that Gary Moore advanced. And she's been pretty solid for us, so I like her a lot, and I definitely like Kathy. Chet Hand's going to be a rock star, I really believe. I think, you know, he'll go into that fiscal court. He will ask questions that he already knows the answer to just to get the issues out there. But he can advance a lot of stuff, and I really think that even though Gary Moore can, you know, promote his agenda, Chet Hand, Kathy Flagg, and Jesse Brewer can shut down Gary Moore. And I think they will. I mean, I don't think Gary's got a chance of getting his liberal agenda through with Chet Hand on there. And what I'm hoping is that Chet will, you know, write columns or you know, little newsletters that he can send around to constituents.
Yeah, my 8-year-old already wants to know when he's going to fix the traffic out here.
Well, I tell you what, I'd love to see that. That's why I think it would be so good to have a governor from Northern Kentucky, like Savannah, that's going to put more emphasis on Kentucky's infrastructure. So I think that's really, really good.
The rumor mill's Sheridan that Janine Hampton might throw her name in that hat.
Well, I've been hearing that, and
Doesn't make me sad.
I met with a couple people, I guess it was, what day is this? So I met with a couple people about a week ago, and they said Janine was at a couple meetings, and she's not decided on what she wants to do next, but she would have a significant amount of folks supporting her, whatever she runs for. So I don't know. It could be interesting. Of course, it could be interesting, you know, if she runs and Matt Bevin runs for governor too, is another rumor.
That's a rumor going around? What?
You know, they say that he wants to run for U.S. Senate and stuff again, but I think, you know, with 12 people are more running for governor on the Republican side. Somebody with the name recognition of a Matt Bevin or Janine Hampton could win, and they could win with 15% of the vote. You got to remember when Matt Bevin won his gubernatorial primary, he ran against Will Scott, he ran against Jamie Comer and Hal Heiner. And Matt only got like 35% of the vote, and he won statewide by 83 votes. So when you add another 3 times that many people running, you got 12 people running, and I don't know. Somebody could come, a dark horse could come out of there and just win with maybe 12-15% when you got that many people running. So Bevin's, you know, I would say Bevin's got a shot, but he's got a lot of negatives, especially with giving all those pardons. I think he really, you know, and Bevin did do a lot of good things for Kentucky, but of course he did a lot of bad things too. Stupidest thing he did
Real
was
ID.
Real ID. After vetoing that, then the next year come back doing a video in favor of Real ID and signing that into law. Doing a video in favor of local option sales tax really fried me. You know, when he came out just a couple days before the election, when he was in Campbell County promoting tolls for the Brent Spence, dumb. I mean, you know, it's like he wanted to shoot himself in the foot, but I don't know. You never know what could happen. Politics is interesting, and so yeah, I'd say. And then there's another guy. I mean, I met his mom and dad just a couple weeks ago. But Alan Keck, he's the mayor of Somerset. Pretty decent guy, and he's going to announce for governor come December 1st. So that's going to increase.
That's another one. Wow.
That's another one.
Okay. We still have. When's the filing deadline on that? Do you know?
January, early January.
Oh, okay. So we still have a few months to see who's going to throw their name in the hat.
Yeah. So you know, if I'm sitting out there, you know, thinking I could never get 50%, I probably couldn't even get 40%, but I could get 30%, or I could get 20%. And then you got to think, I got a good chance. You know, why not run?
When we have all those good candidates running, I feel like the debates get better.
They do. It's competition is good. It makes all
Right.
boats rise, I think. And I think the big issue is going to be the moms and the education. That's going to drive this next election. Now, I was privy to a conversation where there's a national bill coming out for school choice, and it's supposed to be a really good bill. I don't know, but that would really be something, wouldn't it, if you had a
Be the
national
judge of
bill?
that.
Yeah, we got to study it. You got to study it, because oftentimes, when you get a federal bill, with federal legislation comes federal money, hence federal control.
Yeah.
But, I'm hearing from good people that it's a good bill, so we will see. That is, to me, probably the second most important vote. And the reason is because it's an 8-year term, and Joe Fisher is a 24-year veteran of the legislature. He's a very good constitutionalist on all the issues. I rarely disagreed with him when he was a state representative. Michelle Keller was appointed by former Governor Steve Beshear, and not surprisingly, she followed his agenda, and she's good buddies with Andy Beshear. She's made a lot of rulings which are pro-abortion. She's made a lot of rulings in favor of pedophiles. I've got a list like you wouldn't believe. She is rotten to the core. We tried to beat her 8 years ago with Teresa Cunningham, and we fell short. I think Cunningham got like 42%. But Michelle Keller is bad news.
Do you think people are going to remember her as siding with Andy Beshear in all these court cases?
No, that's why I've been all over Facebook and Twitter and everything.
Reminding them how awful she is.
And I've lost some friends because I'm surprised how many Republicans support her. I remember 8 years ago, I was at a meeting and some Republicans come in and they said, "Oh, Michelle, you got my support." And I looked at them like, "Do you know what she stands for?" I mean, but they don't. They think she's a Republican, but she's Democrat through and through. She will advance every bit of Andy Beshear's agenda. She don't even try to hide it. She's rotten to the core, and Joe Fisher's, like I said, a good constitutionalist. And when you think of that being an 8-year term, you got to go with
sure.
Joe Fisher. Suzanne Citrullo was appointed by Andy Beshear, and so it's not surprising that she does everything Andy wants. She's another pro-abort. She's in favor of the lockdown. She's in favor of, all the mandates. And Bob Winter actually was part of the legal team that fought that when Andy Beshear sent his state police into the churches. And Winter was part of that legal team that fought that and won. Winter is an easy choice on that one. Citrullo is very deceptive. She sent a nice check to Northern Kentucky Right to Life, our celebration of life, to be a sponsor, and we returned the check. See, her father-in-law, Bob Citrullo's son married Suzanne Mallory or whatever, Suzanne Citrullo. So she's very disingenuous in using that Citrullo name. I'm worried because women generally win for judges. I hate the fact that they do, but they generally do. Especially, it seems like the more liberal the woman is, the better chance she's got of winning.
Rob Winter has an actual history of constitutional battles. That's most of his caseload has been constitutional battles.
You're right.
I mean, he has the history to show.
He is very, very solid.
He is.
Very good man.
Family court. We got Kendra McCardle and Keith McBain.
Actually, I've met with both of them, and I have helped Keith McBain in the past. I did meet with Kendra, and I was very favorably impressed with Kendra McCardle, but I've not done anything on that race. I like Keith. I like McCardle. I think they both do a good job. Keith is more, with us, with the Republican Party, I think. What bothers me is seeing the McCardle signs, with all the Suzanne Citrullo, Michelle Keller, and all the liberals. So I don't know. Yeah, everywhere you see a liberal sign, she seems like she's got one there.
I just kept seeing a McCardle and then a McBain. I kept seeing those two side by side in different yards, but right next to each other. I'm
Well,
like,
I've seen McCardle signs with the Michelle Keller, with the Suzanne Citrullo, with the Charles Booker.
No,
it's not good.
That's
But
not good.
she didn't say anything that I objected to when I met with her, but that's been months ago, and I've stayed out of that race.
Well, you know what the good news is? I think whoever wins, the people are still winning in that race.
I think so too. I like Keith and I like Kendra. I mean,
Do you think she has better experience? Being
yeah, she is definitely, and that's the kind of case that she works on, family law. Keith, of course, has run for 2 or 3 other positions, and I hate to say it, but it seemed like to me like he's just running to get elected to something. But I think he would do a good job in family court. For Gallatin and for Boone. Either one of them's fine.
But she definitely has the experience.
right.
Yeah, she's got more experience, I would say.
She does guardian litem. She does all that.
Yeah, I think, she explained all that to me, and I was impressed. I really was.
So
She's pretty little.
Drum roll.
Julia Powell of,
Here we go. School board.
yeah, Julia Powell needs to be defeated. I'm hoping and praying that Cindy Young does enough. That would be a good pickup to knock out Julia Powell, because Julia is Chamber of Commerce oriented, and she's about as liberal as you can get.
She has met with the Chamber of Commerce. She's been meeting with Jason Glass.
Oh, gosh.
And yet she doesn't have time to answer her constituents' questions or come to our forums
That's pathetic.
to answer questions.
and
from
surveys.
Oh yeah, and she's not answering surveys.
Well, she
either.
would be foolish to come in front of you guys. You guys would chew her up, spit her out, and she knows it. She don't have a leg to stand on. That I would love to see Karen Bird get beat by Karen Strayer.
Has she even done any politicking?
I haven't seen any signs.
I don't know what Karen Bird is doing. I do know that she's been on the school board for 20 plus years, probably 25 years. I can remember going to the school board meetings and when she was chairman, of the school board, and they don't never answer any of your questions. They just vote 5-0 to raise your taxes and smile at you.
Which they
Karen,
did.
Karen
Raise
Strayer
taxes.
is really coming on strong. I've been watching her, some of the things she's been saying. She's really, listening to you guys, and she's educating herself. And she tells me going door to door feels really good. So I'm hoping that Karen Bird gets beat. Karen Strayer will not shut up. I mean, that's what's going to be beautiful about her on the school board. If you could have a Karen Strayer, a Jill, and a Stacy on the school board, we'd have made. Just the questions that you
Kids
guys
would be
would.
protected, that's
They
for
would.
sure.
And Matthew Turner would be like, here's my
Oh,
resignation.
and that would be so sweet to get him to resign.
All right, here's Keith Collins and Carolyn Wolf.
I mean, there's things I don't like maybe about Carolyn Wolf, but I definitely think, she would be pretty good. I think she would ask a lot of questions. Some of the things, that I like about her is like things that she's brought up, on Facebook and stuff, but I don't know. I know Stacy's spoken with her. I don't know if you've educated her enough yet, but I would like to see some fresh blood on that school board.
All right, now we've got Walton Verona.
Yes. Who are your picks in this one?
Wow.
Well, it's
It's
interesting. There's the guy, number one guy would be Thomas Allen Volts. I've gotten to know him a little bit. It's another. I hear that Adrienne Prunk is pretty good. I've never met her. And what I think when they say vote for 3, what I try to do is pick the very best. And if I'm confident in the one guy, I'll tell everybody only vote for Thomas Allen Volts. That'll help his chances to win. And I would love to see him win.
I didn't know that. That's a good idea.
Oh, it is. It's like with Florence City Council.
Bernie.
I would only vote for Aaron Gillum. Aaron Gillum's one of us. I wouldn't vote for the rest of them. Dwayne Frolicker and Julie Metzger, Abacan or whatever. Julie Metzger is very liberal. I know that. She's been on city council a lot. Dwayne Frolicker, I would, if I was in Florence, I would vote for him for mayor. I don't think he'd be a strong mayor. But no, he definitely much better than that Julie Metzger. She's pretty daggone rotten.
Is she the
Yeah,
eyeglass lady?
she is.
City Council Florence. 6 people.
Most of them I don't like. I mean, David Osborne's been there since Florence was established in 1800. He's the oldest of the hills. Aaron Gillum is the only really solid one that really, Mel Carroll would be my second pick, but definitely not Gary Wynn. J. Kelly Huff could make good votes, but you can't count on it. So I would do like I do in some of these other races. I would just vote for Aaron Gillum, and if you felt like you had to vote for one more, maybe Mel Carroll. But I wouldn't vote for the rest of them.
I have some business clients who have businesses in Florence and Walton and all over northern Kentucky, and they said by far Walton is the best place to own a business. They've been the easiest to work with, and they'll actually help you.
You don't have that extra tax like Florence does, have you?
And they may, but as far as getting assessments and the fire department comes through and does all their she said Florence is an absolute nightmare and has sold off every property she owned in the city of Florence.
I hate the government of Florence.
But them affecting business owners like that's not good. But she said actually Erlanger, that mayor, and that city council has been easy to work with. And Walton, she said, was really easy to work with. But that Florence was such a nightmare, she has sold every business she owns there.
I do from what I've heard, I don't really personally know any of those people that's running for city council, but I have heard good things about Terry Lynn Courtney and I think Mike Stewart. That'd be the only two that I have any information on, and like I say, I don't know either one of them. And
So how would you recommend, like, say that somebody lives in the city of Walton, how would you recommend that they research these candidates? Where do you think they should look?
You should be able to go to the city building and ask for a bio, of each one. Find out if they're business owners or, what they're involved in, or find out if they're teachers or whatever. But I have heard I just don't know any of those people. I really don't.
City of Union Mayor?
I like, Larry King Solomon, I know a little bit. I would have to go with Eric Dulaney. He used to come to our Tea Party meetings. He's very good, on economic issues and stuff. That's just the way it is. Brian Garner is terrible. I do know him a little bit. There's no way. He's that teacher at Rao. He's awful. He is awful. Honestly, don't think I've ever
Jeremy
met.
Ramage might be the only one.
A couple of them I've met in passing, but Brian Garner, no way. I'd stay away from that.
Jeremy Ramage is the only one on that list.
But it says
voted down
if
the
there's four of them, it looks like they're all going to
Yeah.
win.
So is that another one you just vote one person?
Yeah, just make a point.
Yeah, I think you could. But I definitely would skip that corner.
Yep. So we're gonna start talking about these amendments. So on the back of the ballot this year, there's two issues, number 1 and number 2. So maybe when you get there, flip it over first, fill it out, and then flip it over and choose your candidates
Good
so that
idea.
you don't miss it. They're very important issues. And Bernie, do you want to speak to the second one first? 'Cause that was
Yeah.
an easy one.
The second one is easy. You want to vote yes on 2. Basically it's real short. There's nothing in the state constitution that can be construed to secure or protect a right to abortion or require the funding of abortion. That's if anything is even more reprehensible, it's our tax dollars being used to fund abortion. And they're using our tax dollars to fight this amendment, to stop it. Planned Parenthood, which is funded by taxpayers, they're spending millions to stop, they want everybody to vote no on this. It's pretty bad. I don't know if we've got enough, good people that, I would hope so. I have seen the churches get more involved. I went past St. Timothy's in Union today, and they've got a big billboard out front, yes on 2, but I just don't know that the good guys are going to win that one. I'm afraid it's going to turn out like what happened in Kansas, where it got shut down.
I'm confused then, Bernie. There's nothing in the Constitution that protects abortion.
Right.
So why do we have to have an amendment for something that doesn't exist?
Their thinking is that they've got to spell it out with an amendment. I agree with you. They should have never seen something in the Constitution that wasn't there all these centuries, but I'm just afraid, if you get like Michelle Keller, people like her on the state Supreme Court, that they're going to find some way to promote abortion. I think it's a good effort, and I definitely want people to vote yes on Amendment 2, but I'm just kind of afraid that the bad guys, have an advantage. And when they're using your own tax dollars against you, that's what really irritates me. It's going to be tough.
So how about issue number 1? This one I've heard the good and the bad and the ugly. So what are your thoughts?
Well, originally I was in favor of it, and then after I read it a couple times, I reflected on it and started listening to other people. But there's good people on both sides of that. And while I think that this amendment was created with the best of intentions, I can see the potential for abuse. I'm real big on cutting down the size, cost, reach, and power of big state government. And there's no way you can do that if your legislators are in session more and more. That gives too much opportunity to create more government, put us deeper in debt, and enslave us. And I think, I'd have to vote no on constitutional amendment number 1. After reading things that Adrian Southworth has written, Savannah Maddox is another one. Thomas Massey is against this. Chris Wiest is in favor of Amendment 1. So I've got friends on both sides,
Right.
and they, and there are some good arguments, but there is a principle there that while something like this could help us in the short run, in the long run, it'll hurt us. And I don't like giving too much power. I mean, now we've got the Republicans in charge, but they're not really Republicans. I mean, I don't trust Stivers, and I don't trust Osborne to do the right thing. And, the Chamber of Commerce will lobby them hard, say, hey, we need to have you need to call a special session, to push through the local option sales tax or whatever.
So this would give lobbyists more control.
Yeah, I think it would. I think,
Okay.
these jackasses would do it. But if you're interested in less government, I don't see how you can be in favor of that. I watch stations sometime, like the Ohio General Assembly, and it seems like they're always in session. And I just think that's, no good, to always be in session like that. That's too dangerous. So I would be a no on 1, yes on 2.
I concur.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Bernie.
I'm glad to do it. You guys are great.